I'm going to take the opportunity here to mention the many volunteers that make our service happen. We have tech people, we have readers, we have ushers, we have greeters, we have people who do behind-the-scenes prep, folding the programs. We have offering takers and communion servers. We have candle lighters. We have musicians. It's an amazing production that takes place every Sunday morning, and so thank you. This service, this thought, is in three parts. Often these two verses or two stories are separate. One is Jesus' homecoming, and the second is let's throw him off a cliff. We've combined them because it's a story. So I'm not a jock, but I do appreciate a good sporting event, especially when my grandchildren are playing something. But there are some athletes who are public figures who intrigue me, and LeBron James is one of them. So I don't know how many of you know LeBron James. Wikipedia him. It's fascinating who he is, but let me just highlight that he's the highest paid athlete in the world. He's worth $1.1 billion. He's playing basketball in the NBA yet at age 40 on a team with his son, the Los Angeles Lakers. He has met every record of all the greats, Bill Russell, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I do know a few things about sports. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Magic Johnson, Michael Jordan. He's been compared with all the greats and perhaps superseded them. And he hasn't forgotten his roots. Married his high school sweetheart in 2013. They have 3 children together. One of them is the boy that he plays basketball with. In the early 2000s, he went home. He partnered with the University of Akron with something called the I Promise Institute. He's paid for 2,300 students to attend the University of Akron since 2021. He started, let me just make sure I get this right here. I Promise School, a public elementary school to help struggling youth stay in school. I Promise Village Housing Complex. House 330, a community center and retail complex. Health Quarters Medical Center, and he calls these the most important accomplishments of his professional career. He also supports After School All-Stars, Boys and Girls Clubs of America, the Children's Defense Fund. He's spoken out about justice issues, the war in Darfur, the killing by police of many black men and women, national kneeling protests, Don Sterling's basketball team owner's racist comments, and the overturning of Roe v. Wade. My opinion, LeBron has used his resources, financial and celebrity, to aid not only his hometown, but justice initiatives in our broader world. He is the local celeb, makes good, comes home, brings his resources to his hometown. LeBron has brought the promises that Jesus identified in the sermon he read close to the people of Akron. You all have done that. Not the way LeBron has, but you've driven people to appointments, to the grocery store. You've made meals for people. You've given a hug or a smile when you know someone's hurting. You've reached out in special ways to someone that you haven't seen for a while. You've offered oodles of resources to Christian neighbors so they can help the poor in our community. Most of those efforts go unnoticed, but they're there. You are Jesus. And people have been Jesus to you in those ways, right? Yes. Helped you when you were sick, hugged you when you were grieving, sent you a card or a note. And people have been Jesus to you in other ways. So come with me to scene 2. Because Jesus reads the scroll, and then he says to people, this is all the good stuff that's going to happen. And they're going, yes, let's have a parade. And then he says, except it's not just for you. It's for the people on the other side of the tracks as well. It's for the people who voted differently from you as well. It's for the people that you think don't fit among you as well. And the people are like, what? And you know this too. Heck, some of you wanted to throw your former interim minister off a cliff. Oh, come on. That was a joke. You do know this feeling. Some of you are in recovery because someone was Jesus to you. Some of us behave better because someone was Jesus to us. Some of us have changed our lives. Some of us are living our truth because someone was Jesus to us, and first we wanted to throw them off a cliff. We've seen this play out this week, right? The Bishop Marianne Budd, preaching at the Washington National Cathedral for the inauguration prayer day service, invited the listeners to have mercy. To have mercy on those who are vulnerable right now, to care for the least, last, lost, and lonely. She gently and meekly invited the listeners to be God's presence in the world. And now the attempt is being made to throw her off a cliff, deport her, condemn what she said, expect an apology, change the First Amendment so that only words that bring us comfort can be spoken. It is on us to be that tough word sometimes and to listen for that tough word sometimes. Scene 3. They were going to throw Jesus off the cliff. They took him up to the high place. But magically, miraculously, how did it say it, Sue? It said he gave him the slip. Somehow, he was able to sneak away, which tells you, right? These were not only people who wanted to throw him off the cliff. Amongst them were people who wanted to hear more, who wanted to know what he had to say and wanted to protect him so that he could say more. There were enough people who looked like Jesus and looked like the other side who were able to surround him and stealthily move him away to safety. When I was a concert-going girl, well, I still am, but when I was younger, I was at a concert, and it was one of those outdoor concerts and fences, and you had to go through the gate, and they checked your bags. And there were 2 women ahead of me who were clearly good friends and excited about the concert, and one was a Latina woman, and the other was a white woman. And as the Latina woman walked through the gate, she opened her bag, and then they said, "Step aside, we're going to frisk you." And her friend walked through right after her and opened her bag, and they said, "You can go." And she said, "No. No, if you're going to frisk her, you're going to frisk me too." That's what it looks like. That's what it looks like to become like the other side, to become a community of protection and care, to insist that people not be treated differently because of their skin color, because of their ways of behaving, because of their income levels or their education. That's what it looks like to stand with the least, last, lost, and lonely. And that's what it looks like to become a community that can house, that can contain that kind of speaking truth to power. So, Dan, could you hand me my water a second? So I have 3 suggestions and some homework for you. But I need a drink of water a minute.
I do this often.
Thank you. 1, be watchful for where you can be the presence of love for someone who's hurting. That means you have to have your head up, right? That means you have to be connected. Number 2, be restful. Be restful. Don't let the news, social media have access to all of you. Pick and choose where you extend yourself. And be willing to receive the care of Jesus when you need it. Be watchful, be restful. And 3rd, find ways to be inspired and stay hopeful. Listen to the Bishop Budd's sermon. Listen to Amanda Gorman's poetry. Listen to Carrie Newcomer's music. Walk in the woods, meditate, pray, find quiet. Stay hopeful and inspired. And then your homework. Get reconnected. There are people you haven't seen among you for a while. Now, some of you know they're gone for the winter months. They're on a sabbatical because they're ill, whatever it might be. But there are others who are just missing. You know who they are. I don't necessarily know who they are. Reach out. Send a text, send an email, make a call, send a card. Tell them, I miss you. I wish you were among us. I appreciate you. Something about you that's needed here. And especially, reach out to those people who may be different from you, who you may feel have differences in these divisive times. We have more in common than what separates us. We need everyone to create a community where all can be safe. I invite you during a few moments of quiet to think about what might you do in this week? Who might you connect with in this week?